Hi, Missy K here on the Book Fix. Today my review is of Someday Maybe by Lauren Graham, and that is the Lauren Graham who was Lorelai Gilmore. And honestly, that is the reason that I read this book, because she was really great on Gilmore Girls, and obviously someone being a good actress doesn't necessarily mean that they're a good writer, but I thought I'd give it a try. I'd also read one positive review of it. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was a quick contemporary read. It's the story, and it's supposed to be sort of autobiographical in a little way. It's the story of Franny Banks, who moved to New York 3 years ago, and or almost 3 years ago, and she decided that she was only going to give herself 3 years to really start to make a success of herself as an actor. She doesn't not to necessarily win a Tony Award or anything, but just to have some real progress. And so far, not really. She still is working as a waitress at a comedy club. She's going to an acting class by a famous teacher, who only accepts people that he wants to accept. So that is something. But she doesn't have an agent. She doesn't really have work. She's just had a couple commercials, and so she's just sort of feeling lost. And so it's kind of just the story of what happens there for the next 6 months. She has 6 months at the beginning of the book. So I don't know. I don't know that there's a whole lot more to tell that wouldn't spoil anything, because a lot of it is just sort of her daily struggles about what she's going to do that day, if when she does get a job, how that works out. But it is written in a very I guess I would say higher quality chicklit style. I would compare it to maybe a Bridget Jones, the first Bridget Jones, rather than Shopaholic or something like that, which I have read some Shopaholic books and they're terrible. So Bridget Jones, is one of the few chicklit books that I would generally recommend to anyone. If they're, unless they're diehard fans of the genre, then whatever. But if they're not, and they say, I want to read one chicklit book, probably Bridget Jones is the one that I would give them. I haven't read the new Bridget Jones. The second one was all right, but the new one that just came out, I thought, why would I want to read about Mr. Darcy not being there? So I didn't. Now, this is probably, I'm searching my memory right now, but I feel like this is probably, if they liked Bridget Jones and they said, I would like to read another good chicklit, this is probably the one that I would hand them next. Not to say that I am an expert in the field, but that is still what my recommendation would be. So, good job, Lauren Graham. You did very well in a genre that I am not an expert in. So I don't know how much that's worth, but I do recommend it as a good example of the genre.